So we want to begin our discussion on towards advanced writing with a definition of research. And we define research as the systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. Research is the systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. So in the definition, you could see that research is systematic. That means that it has principles, it has rules that guide its procedures. You do not just wake up and say you want to do research. You have to know the rules because it is systematic, it is guided, it is controlled. It is a guided process. There are steps involved. Research involves investigation. That means it is a quest to find out the truth. Research is the quest to find out the truth. It probes. It seeks. Research searches for something. That is the truth, facts about issues, phenomena, situations, circumstances. Research involves the study of materials and sources. The material can be water, can be sand, can be leaves, can be air. Sources could refer to secondary materials, books, articles that have already been written, and you want to study them to find out the facts about certain issues as a way of reviewing literature on that issue or on those issues. So you cannot do research without studying, which is the reason why you are asked to form the habit of reading in the university, because you cannot do research without study. You have to observe, you have to read, you have to examine, you have to think. Research takes every part of you. And all of this is done in order to establish facts. That's by fact to mean the truth about the situation. What actually obtains and reach new conclusion. That means that research has to contribute something new. You cannot say that you did research without having findings, making findings and reaching new conclusions. You have to contribute to knowledge, either to affirm what we already know or to refute what we already know. Research has to reach new conclusions. We have another definition of research. Of course, we have many definitions of research. We have another definition of research. You can define research as a systematic inquiry. A systematic inquiry to describe, explain, predict, and control the observed phenomenon. Research is a systematic inquiry to describe, to explain, to predict, and control the observed phenomenon. So the word inquiry is related to investigation. It's about asking questions and trying to find out the truth about a situation. Research is also systematic, as we've said before, because it is guided by rules and principles. Sometimes it involves the application of theory. Application of theory in research makes it more systematic because you're guided by the theory. So the theory becomes one of the rules that you use to carry out research. To describe, explain, predict, and control the observed phenomenon are all functions or aims of research. Research helps us to understand life better, understand issues of life better, understand things in the environment better. Okay? After you've done research, you can describe the particular habits of people better, or the particular habits of animals better, or the particular behavior of a person better because you've studied that person, you investigated, you read about that person. It gives you more knowledge about that person or that thing. You can explain it. You can even predict the person's behavior or what the person will do in certain situations because you've studied over time. So research gives us knowledge about environment or whatever we choose to study. So if you want to know something, want to know the facts about something, then you need to study it. You need to spend time on it. You need to spend time to observe it, spend time to read around it, find out what other people have already known about it. That's how to do research. So let's take another definition of research. Let's take another definition of research. Research is the process. Research is the process of arriving at dependable solutions to problems. Research is the process of arriving at dependable solutions to problems through the planned and systematic collection, analysis, and interpretation of data. I'll take that again. Research is the process of arriving at dependable solutions to problems through the planned and systematic collection, analysis, and interpretation of data. So that process in the definition of research talks about the rules that guide the conduct of research. It's the process that makes research systematic. Anytime you want to carry out the research, find out the rules that undergird that research and follow those rules step by step to arrive at the answers to the questions that you're asking. So this definition also tells us that research aims at solving societal problems. So as a researcher, you don't run away from problems. What you do is to ask yourself, how can I solve this problem? Researchers are not afraid of problems. They don't run away from challenges. They use their creative thinking, their imagination, and their expertise, the knowledge they have gained to solve the problem, to see how to solve the problem or get around the problem. So as students, who are going to be graduates someday, you need to have the mindset. Your mindset is not to look at the problem, but to see the problem as a challenge that has to be solved for the good of society. And I can assure you that if you can solve any one of societal problems, you will never have any problem in life. You will never have money problems. Just your ability to solve one societal problem. There's no other way of making it in life other than looking for one problem in society and providing the solution that everybody needs to that problem. Once that is done, and it gets to a point where you can commercialize the idea or even sell it to someone to invest in it, then you are made. Okay? Because someone stays in a hot room and asks himself, how can I make this room to be cool? The person didn't run out of the room. The person didn't complain that, oh, it's always hot. But the person was thinking, how do I make the room to be cool? It's hot. Okay? And so the person comes up with different ideas. Probably that's why we have the air conditioning. Or that's why we have the fan. So any problem that you encounter, think of how to solve it and not how to run away from that particular environment. Okay? To a place where it's better. Right? So that is the mindset that all graduates should have, particularly in a society like us, because our society has many problems and people don't want to solve it, instead they run away. So as a graduate, what you're supposed to do is to think of what you can do to at least solve one of the problems that you encounter. So research solves problems, but it is not magic. It is not something that you wake up one day and it is done. No. It is through the planned and systematic collection, analysis, and interpretation of data. Which is why studying, observation, reading are central to research. So we want to look at the logical steps involved in carrying out research. Sometimes you are given a topic to research on. How do you go about researching on that topic? You can even come up with your own research idea based on your observation or based on your experience in society, based on the problem or the question that you encounter. Some people keep asking the question, why is this thing like this? Until they decide to find out the answer to the question. So research is finding out answers to the questions of life. Some people have certain problems and they ask, how can we solve the problem? Until they decide to study and ensure that they get enough information, analyze the information, and come up with answers or ways to solve the problem. So research begins with data collection. So it usually begins with data collection. So what is data? When we talk about data collection, we need to know what data is. What is data? Data is information or facts that are utilized in research. Data is information or facts used in research. What is data collection? What is data collection? Data collection is the process of collecting and evaluating information or data from multiple sources to find answers to research problems. What is data collection? Data collection is the process of collecting and evaluating information or data from multiple sources to find answers to research problems. The data collection is the process of collecting information or facts about a particular issue that we are investigating in our research. So remember that the data has to be collected from multiple sources. Remember what we said when we were talking about inductive and deductive reasoning. One of the issues that came out of our discussion on deductive and inductive reasoning was hasty generalization. That means drawing conclusion from limited data. You've not investigated all the cases and you draw conclusion. All right? So that's why you need to get your data from multiple sources. You get to the library, you don't just consult one book and say you've done research. All right? You need to get to a point when you pick a book, the book refers you to the information that you already had on that subject. That's when you said that you started doing research. If you don't encounter one piece of information twice, that means you've not done research. Because it is in connecting these pieces of information that you now can arrive at a consensus. So you need to know what A said about the matter at a particular time, and what B said about the same matter, and so on and so forth, and how they vary in the description of the issue. Let us look at means of data collection. Means of data collection. What do you use to collect data? Instruments that you use to collect data. These are interviews. These include interviews. You can collect data through interviews. Interview is a means of data collection, one of the means of data collection. You can collect data through surveys. Surveys. That's sampling of opinion and views from different people. Through questionnaire. You administer questionnaire. Through observation. Observation is a primary source of data collection. So a researcher has to have the ability to observe someone, observe the environment, observe phenomena. You can't just allow details to pass you by. You have to look and said, this thing happened yesterday, it is happening today. Why? You have to observe, observation. Observe the world around you. Observe people, observe behavior. So observation is one of the means of data collection. Then you can also use focus groups. Focus group as means of data collection. By focus group, we mean selecting a group of people to interview them, to talk to them about certain issues based on their beliefs. For instance, if you want to find out issues about religion, you can choose 3 Protestants and 3 Catholics. And then you bring them and then you start asking questions on certain issues. I'm just using that as an example. All right, because I know that somehow in such discussions people can end up beating people based on the issues that you raised because of their views. Their views might be different on the issues that you're talking about. But that's how focus group works. All right, you bring a set of people that believe in a particular thing, particular issue, and then another set that brings another issue, and then you ask them questions, and then at the end of the day, you now compare the fact. That's what I mean by focus group. That means you don't just randomly select people, but there's a purpose, there's a focus for that interview, for that selection. So that's what we have. So we normally have focus group interview and focus group discussion. You can collect data through experiment. You can collect data through experiments. You can collect data through secondary data analysis. Through secondary data analysis. That reminds us that we have primary data and secondary data. We have primary data and secondary data. I want to explain primary and secondary data so that you understand what we mean by secondary data analysis. Because it's all about analyzing secondary data. So primary data is fresh data. Primary data is fresh data collected from first-hand experience. This is the data that is usually tested in the experiment. This is the data that is usually tested in the experiment. It could be in the form of numbers, it could be in the form of text. This is the data that is used for the test in the experiment, for analysis in the main experiment. Primary data is fresh. It has not been processed before. For instance, you go in the street and ask people a question about something, that's your primary data. Now, secondary data are finished or completed research and information sources in the form of journals, in the form of journal articles, books, online materials, newspapers, and maps. Secondary data are finished or completed researches and information sources, and they are found in the form of journal articles. I would advise you, as you begin, this is your first day, you can go to your lecturers and ask them to give you copies of the journal articles that they have published. Go to your lecturers and ask them to give you copies of the journal articles that they have published. They will give you. You go home and read, because that journal article is a product of a systematic research that we are talking about here. And so you begin to familiarize yourself with how research is done in your discipline. That is the best thing you can do. You may not understand everything that they have written there, but keep reading. Keep reading. Tell them to give you as many as it is possible that they have published, that you read them from time to time. You acquaint yourself with how research is done in your various departments. That is the easiest way to grapple with research, because that is what they have published there. Those articles that are published, the apex of scientific research in that field. And that is, it shows how researches are done in your discipline. That's what you should do as you leave this hall. Go and find out what your lecturers have published in that field. Those papers, those journal articles, and start reading them. So those journal articles are secondary data sources because they are finished researches. So if you are a scholar who wants to do research in that area, you need to review existing sources. And that's what we call secondary sources. The fresh data that you've collected from the field that you want to use to do the research is the primary data. When you have finished your research and written your project and kept it in the university, it becomes secondary research source. So secondary research sources can also be books, textbooks in your field, or online materials. Now we do not do research, we do not complete research without going online to find out the latest articles, the latest information in that subject. But you have to go to professional sources, not Wikipedia. So online materials are part and parcel of secondary sources in contemporary research. You cannot finish your research without finding out the current, because the latest information will be online. But you need to go to the professional sites. You need to get professional articles or information on that issue. You can also look at newspapers and magazine. So that those are secondary data sources. So you can use secondary data sources as means of data collection, get information, facts from secondary data sources. books in the library, journal articles by your lecturers, and so on and so forth. Then we already talk about questionnaire. Let's just look at types of research. And I want to just look at the two main types of research. The two main types of research. And these are qualitative and quantitative research. Qualitative and quantitative research. Let's just start by talking about quantitative research. Quantitative research, so that you know which one applies to your field, or you know which one to use depending on the type of research that you want to do. Quantitative research usually deals with numerical or statistical data, otherwise known as measurable data. Quantitative research usually deals with numerical or statistical data or measurable data. Quantitative research usually deals with numerical or statistical data or measurable data. This is the type of research that is done in departments and the engineering departments, in departments of mathematics, in the sciences, in the core sciences, the hard sciences. The hard sciences usually deal with quantitative research because the data is numerical in nature, is statistical in nature. We call that measurable data, hard facts. Okay? Then we have qualitative research, which relies on historical data like words, text, and meanings. Qualitative research deals with historical data like words, text, and meanings. So these are the qualitative research is used in the humanities, in arts and humanities. Quantitative research is used by science, social sciences. Social sciences sometimes can use quantitative, sometimes can use qualitative, or both, right? We have other types of research or research approaches like descriptive research, correlational research. Descriptive research, correlational research. We have pilot study. We have case study. We have personal reflection. And we have content analysis. So we won't have time to go into all of that, but just know that those are some of the research approaches that we have. Now we want to look at abstract. Abstract. The last time we met that, I said that abstract is the last thing that's written in any research, but it always comes first in the research. You write it as the last thing, the last item, after you've completed the research. After you've written everything, you now write the abstract. But it comes first. In fact, it comes before the introduction. Okay? You place it first before the introduction. Now, abstract is systematically written to capture the essence of the research, so that all that somebody needs to know about your research is to read the abstract. The person does not need to read, even if the work is 300 pages. Even if the work is 500 pages, the person doesn't care. Once the person reads the abstract, the person knows what the research is all about. That's what you need to understand. Because the abstract is the technical summary of the research. The abstract is a systematic summary of a research. That means you don't just write it. There are principles that guide you in the writing of the abstract. You don't write it the way you want. So the abstract is usually short, between 150 and 300 words. The abstract is usually short. When you pick your lecturer's paper that asks you to go and get, you will see that the first item that you find in that paper is the abstract. After the topic and the name of the lecturer, you will find the abstract. The abstract is usually short. And I say, depending on what the journal wants, it can be from 150 words to what? 300 words. It's short. And it is usually written in one block paragraph. Written in one block paragraph. Block. Please take note of that. Not indented. Block. One block paragraph. Has single line spacing. Has single line spacing. And has the following steps. 1. The abstract states what the research is all about. Has the following steps. 1. The abstract states what the research is all about, or the purpose of the research. It answers the question, what did the researcher set out to do? What did the researcher set out to do? This usually includes the justification of the research, why the research is necessary. This usually followed up with the justification of the research. Why is the research necessary? Or why was the research necessary? So in case you're asked to write an abstract, you don't just write because you say it's a summary. It's not just any summary. It's a summary that is guided by rules. I'm giving you the rules now. These 4 or 5 things must be found in your abstract in that order. 1, what did you set out to do? What is the purpose of the research? This research is about this or about this. It's usually followed up with the justification for the research. Number 2, how was the research conducted? How was the research conducted? That is the research methodology. That is the research methodology. How was the research conducted? Because you need to let another scientist know your methods. In research, we don't hide our methods. All right? It is only some native doctors who hide their methods, right? Because they don't want another person to know their magic. Research is not magic. Research, after you've conducted your research, you need to make your findings available to the scientific community so that you can get credit for your work. All right? It's not something that you keep inside a pot in your house so that nobody will know your tricks. Research is not tricks, it's not magic that you hide and only transfer to your son when you're about to die. So that the son will continue to do the juju that you used to do. All right? So that the juju runs in the family. Okay? You have to make your findings, it is open. Anybody can come, pick up your methods, and then arrive at the same findings and conclusion. That's science. So that's why it is important that you study your methodology. How did you conduct the research? Did you give interviews? Did you do experiments? Did you do focus group? You have to tell us. What is the methodology? What was your primary data? What were your secondary data? What theory did you utilize? These are parts of the methodology. Okay? You have to tell us what your primary data was, what your secondary data was, the theory you applied, how the experiments was conducted. So state your methodology. Number 3, state your findings. What did you find out? What did you find? What are the findings of your research? After conducting the experiment, after carrying out the research, what did you find out? From the analysis of data, you get findings. What did I say? From the analysis of data, you get what? Findings. You draw your findings. And then finally, you state the conclusion. And your conclusion must be drawn from findings. Your conclusions are drawn from findings. So those are the 4 steps that you take in writing your summary. And when you follow those 4 steps, then you have written, in writing your abstract. When you follow those 4 steps, you've written a good abstract. It's not just saying, okay, because it's a summary, you need to write whatever you like. Chapter 1 is about this, chapter 2 is about, no. We are not talking about chapters here. And I've told you what you do, what did you set out to do, what's your methodology, what did you find out, and what's your conclusion. That's the abstract. Okay? So the abstract is a systematic summary of a research. It is written in a block paragraph, single line spacing, usually between 150 and 300 words long. It has 4 aspects, which are what the research is all about, or the purpose of the research, the methodology of the research, or how the research was conducted or carried out, the research findings and conclusion. So when you get your lecturer's paper, some of your lecturer's papers are online, you can download them. You don't even need to go to them. You can just Google their names. Even if you Google my name, some of my papers will come up. You can at least see the abstract, okay? And see how it looks like. Have you ever seen an abstract before? Some people have not. Okay? So, you can do that. Let us look at I want to look at the style sheet, research citations and style sheet. Research citations and style sheet. Research citation and style sheet. Before I talk about research citations and style sheet, I want to talk about plagiarism. Plagiarism, which is a serious academic crime. It's a serious academic crime that could lead to your loss of studentship, failure in exams, failure in your term paper or book review, or even loss of job, depending on who you are. So every researcher must guard against plagiarism. Every researcher must guard against plagiarism. Everybody say plagiarism. So what is plagiarism? Plagiarism is a serious academic crime that involves the use of another researcher's ideas or words or expressions without proper acknowledgement. It's a serious academic offense that has to do with the use of another researcher's ideas, words, or expressions without proper acknowledgement. Copying another person's work and making it your own without acknowledging the honor of the work or idea is a serious academic offense that can lead to failure in examination, dismissal from school or from work. It is academic theft, which all researchers must avoid at all costs, whether conscious or unconscious. This means that if you use an idea, words or expressions that you took from someone else, you must give credit to that person. That's what we normally have in research, according to Aristotle. According to Professor Sakwe, meaning that that idea is not yours. You read it from Professor Sakwe, and so you acknowledge him. But to use it as if it is yours is wrong. It's plagiarism. So this is what leads us to citation. Because you do not only need to give credit to these other researchers whose ideas you have utilized in your research, you need to do it properly. You need to do it in a proper way, in the way that is stipulated by the research community. That's why research is a serious business. It's not a joke. It's not for jokers. So I usually see students lifting someone's work from wherever, internet or wherever, and then putting on their page and then putting their name and submitting. And I usually tell them, you have failed marks. And what is failed mark? Failed mark is like if the assignment is 15 marks, failed mark is 4. Now, if you have 4, that's high enough. Because it's not your work. And you didn't even acknowledge the person who wrote it. That's why I said, like in the book review, make sure you do your own book review. I gave you all the materials that you needed to write your own review on your own. Because any observation that you copied from yourself, from anybody, from anywhere, is failing. That's how serious it is. So somebody sang a song and said, originality control society. And that's what the person said. So originality rules society, according to Fage. And as a researcher, you need to be original in your research. And whenever you quote or take an idea from any source, you have to acknowledge that source. And you have to take this into consideration right from when you are gathering data for the research. When you go to the library, as you pick each book, the first thing you write is the data for that book. The name of the author, the year of publication, the title of the text, the place of publication, the publisher, the year of publication, and all of that. Because that's what you need for you to do proper citation when you have quoted an idea from that book or from that work. So in citing sources in research, we have two style sheets. In citing sources for research, we have two style sheets. We have the APA and the MLA. We have the APA, we have the MLA. The APA means American Psychological Association. MLA means Modern Language Association. Modern Language Association. Let's just look at the APA style sheet. APA style sheet. So sometimes you hear people say APA style sheet, or say use APA. Okay? In your research. The person is talking about the citation format, the citation style, or what would they call the style sheet that you should use for your research. The APA style sheet is normally used by scientists. So it's very likely that most of your lecturers will use APA style. When you look at their journals, you check the style sheet that they've used. So many used by scientists and language researchers. They're used in sciences and by language researchers. The APA has two components. The APA has two components, what we call in-text citation and end references. In-text citation is a citation that you make while writing the research. How you cite sources while writing the research. In-text citation is a citation that you make while writing the research, or how you cite sources in the process of writing the research. That's in-text citation. End references is what comes at the end of the research, when you collect all the sources you have cited in the research at the end of the research. So you need to take note of this. You cite sources while you're writing the research. At the end of the research, you have to collect all of them together and put them at the end of the research as references. As what? References. Under APA, as references. Now, what is the in-text citation format for APA? For APA, what is the in-text citation format? The in-text citation format for APA is author, year, and page. Author, year, and page. Author, year, and what? Page. That means while you are writing the research, when you want to cite a source, mention the name of the author, mention the year of publication, and mention the page where you took that information from. When you are doing in-text citation in APA style, you mention the name of the author, mention the year that the work was published, and mention the page where you took the work from. Each time you want to cite a source, that's what you do, as long as you're writing that research. Okay? For instance, you can have something like, according to Chinua Achebe, 1958. Okay? Proverbs are the palm oil with which words are eaten. So what I've mentioned here is that according to Chinua Achebe, I mentioned the name of the author, 1958, year of publication, then I make the quote. This is the exact words that he said. These words in this quotation marks belong to Achebe. They are not my words. That's why I'm putting them in quotation marks, and I acknowledge the honor. If I just say Proverbs are the palm oil which words are eaten in my research, without mentioning that source, I've committed offense. Of what? What is that offense called? So I have to mention the person who said that thing. This is when he said it, and this is the page. That's the year that the work was published. That's how we roll. That's how we roll. You get it? Good. So there's no one way of citing it. It must not always be one format. But that's normally how you do it. You have to include the name of the author, the year, and the page. Okay, there might be different formats of citing it, so you have to keep your mind flexible. Now, that is while I'm writing the work. When at the end of the work, when I want to write my references, that means when I want to bring all my sources in that work at the end of the work, then the format is also different. This is what we mean by end references, but you simply write references for APA. Okay? Because somebody who says Chinua Achebe in the work will come to reference to check so that the person will have complete information about that source. Okay? Now, note that the end references are actually rendered in alphabetical order from A to Z. That means you start with the author whose name is A and end with the author whose name is Z in that order. It's normally done in alphabetical order. So you don't just do it as, it's not the one you cite first that you write first in end reference. No. After that, you need to decide which one comes first by letters of alphabet in the author's name. Which is why you need to keep a separate sheet of paper. So that once you cite the author, you write the complete information on that sheet of paper. So that when you are done, you now choose which one comes first in terms of letter to write at the end. So for APA, what you have is Achebe, which is the surname and the initial. You don't write the full name. The surname, comma, followed by the initial. Okay? And then the year of publication. Full stop. The next thing that follows is title of the text. Things fall apart. Full stop. You underline the title of the text or you italicize it. Since we are typing now, we type often you italicize. But if you are writing by hand, you can underline. Then this is the title of the text. Then after that, place of publication. London is followed by colon. And then publishers. Heinemann. Educational book. Now, if my page drops, if my line drops, I'm not going to start here. I'm going to start by, and I'm going to give it an indentation with no line spacing. Let's take note of this. If your page drops, you're not going to start at the beginning. You're going to flush it, all right, to the right with just one punch of the tab key with no line spacing. So, book limited. Full stop. That's my source. This is the end reference, and this is the in-text citation. And that is for a book. That is just for a book. There's a format that you cite for journal article. There's how you cite it when it is an edited book. There's how you cite it if it's an online material. And so on and so forth. Now, I'll pause there and check MLA. I'll take MLA. MLA means Modern Language Association. The style sheet is normally used in the arts, humanities, and language studies. Normally used in the arts and humanities and language studies. It has both in-text citation and reference notes, known as works cited. Works cited. The end reference notes for MLA is works cited, not references, but works cited. So if you are using MLA, when you want to do your end references, you use works cited and not references. Now let us talk about the in-text citation for MLA. The in-text citation for MLA is different from the in-text citation for APA. The in-text citation for MLA is different from the in-text citation for APA. The in-text citation for MLA is author and page. MLA in-text citation is what? Author and page. That means you mention the name of the author and the page where you took the quotation from. So if we are taking this quote, for instance, the Chinua Achebe quote that we made here, we simply say, according to Chinua Achebe, Proverbs are the palm oil with which words are eaten. That's how it is done. Note that the full stop comes after the page. So this is MLA in-text citation. We have only mentioned the author and the what? And the page. That's how it is done. And then the MLA also has its own works cited format that is different from APA. Remember that for MLA you use works cited. So this is how you cite your source at the end of the work if you're using MLA. You say Achebe begins with surname first, and has a comma. Please take note of all my punctuation. We're not playing. Followed by the full first name. You can see that we are not using initials here again. We're using full first name. The other one we're just using initial. Full stop. Title of the text. Things fall apart. Full stop again, underline. Alright? Place of publication comes next, followed by colon. And then you have publishers, Heinemann. Heinemann Educational Book Limited. Comma. Year of publication. Full stop. That is MLA. So I want you to sit down and compare the difference or the differences between the APA and the MLA EndNote citation. Okay? It is different. For instance, the year of publication in the MLA comes last, while the year of publication in the APA is after the name. So you have to take note of that. Then, another thing that we want to look at before we proceed, we want to look at footnotes and endnotes. Footnotes and endnotes are additional information on sources that a researcher might wish to provide to the reader in the course of writing the research. Footnotes and endnotes are additional information on sources which the researcher might want to provide to the reader while writing the research. The difference is just where they are placed. The difference between endnotes and footnotes is just where they are located. So the footnotes or the endnotes are additional pieces of information that the author provides for readers in the course of writing the research on the sources that he has used. Okay? Footnote comes at the foot of the page, while endnotes come at the end of the research, before the references or the works cited. Footnote comes at the foot of the page. At the foot of the page. You must have seen it before. It will come at the foot of each page. Whereas endnotes comes at the end of the research, before the references. The researcher can use numbers or symbols or asterisks or letters to denote footnotes or endnotes. The researcher can use numbers or letters or symbols like asterisks to denote footnotes or endnotes. Now the numbers have to be superscripted, where the author wants to make the explanation. So it has to be superscripted. For instance, if the person mentions Achebe and superscripts 1, all right? That means you need to go to the foot of the page where he writes 1 to see the explanation that he wants to give on the source. Or he might just say Achebe and gives us asterisks. So you need to come to the foot of the page where you have asterisks to find out that information. If it is endnote, then you have to go to the end of the paper to find out that information. So I'm sure that when you are reading, you have come across some of these things before. So that's what we mean by endnotes and footnotes. Now, before we continue with more citation format, if we have time, There are some other research issues that we want to handle before time elapses. So we want to look at research concepts, some more research concepts that you need to grapple with. At least you need to have an idea about that they exist. One is assumption. What is an assumption in research? What is an assumption in research? An assumption is a principle or idea used as a basis for an argument in a research. An assumption is a principle or idea used as a basis for an argument in a research. Let's look at hypothesis. So you can say that this research is based on the assumption that society is highly patriarchal, that men rule society. It's just an assumption that research operates on, an idea or principle used as a basis for conducting a research. So what is a hypothesis? Hypothesis is an assumption made before any research has been collected or conducted. Hypothesis is an assumption made before any research has been conducted. Hypothesis is a tentative explanation of an observation that can be tested or falsified in a research. It is a tentative explanation of an observation that can be tested or proved or falsified at the end of the research. It can be proved or falsified at the end of the research. Hypothesis can be proved or falsified at the end of the research. Let's look at theory. Most researches are undergirded by theories. A theory is a supposition. Or a system of ideas. A theory is a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something. A theory is a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something. Theory is an idea used to account for a situation. Theory is an idea used to account for a situation, to explain a situation. Theories allow us to make informed statements about occurrences, events, and phenomena in nature. Theories allow us to explain life circumstances in an informed and coherent manner. So you need to seek out the theories in your field, the possible theories in your field that you can use to explain occurrences or juxtapose data in your field. Theories refer to a set of principles on which the practice of an activity is based. On which the practice of an activity is based. On which the practice of an activity is based. Theories help us to understand the world better. So we'll go back now to some of the formats of research citations in the APA mode. By looking at publications that are other than books, that are different from books. Publications other than books. But this one is a book. So how would you cite a journal? How will you cite a journal? How will you cite an edited text in the APA style? Because I know that your discipline is APA. How will you cite an internet material you got from the internet? Okay, let us look at a journal. Let's look at the journal. We still need someone to wipe the board for us. So in citing a journal article, you have the surname of the author, followed by initial first name, then year of publication in brackets, full stop, title of the journal article in quotation marks, not italicized, the title of the journal in italics, the volume number, and the page range. Some journals would even show you how to cite it. They show you cite this journal this way. So always when you pick a journal article, check how you're supposed to cite it. Now I want us to look at an edited book. An edited book. An edited book is written by several authors. Several authors come together to write a particular book, writing on different topics. that book must have an editor. Okay? The book must have an editor. That's what we call an edited book. In the book, you have different authors who have contributed articles or chapters. So the book has to have an editor that is written at the back of the book as the author, but not necessarily the author, but editor, because he edits all of the articles inside. So that's what you need, all contributions inside. So how do you cite an edited book? So to cite an edited book, first of all, mention the name of the contributor to the article. The surname first, then the initial, then the year of publication, then the title of the article, then the editor's name, the title of the book that the editor has edited, the place of publication, the publishers, and the page range. Let's look at how to cite an internet source. Finally, just 5 minutes. How to cite an internet source. Citing an internet source begins right from when you open that page on the internet. Just as you go to the library, right? Immediately you pick up a book in the library, the first thing you do is to write down the statistics of the book, the name of the author, the year of publication, place of publication, all the information that you need. So immediately you open that web page, take down these pieces of information before you even start copying what the person has written, so that you can cite it properly. Number one, does the article that you have opened have an author? Write down the name of the author. Does it have a year of publication? Write down the year of publication. If it does not have the year of publication, go to the foot of the page and check for the year. It's likely going to be that current year, like 2023, if you are opening the page on 2023. The copyright will be 2023. Write down the article, the title of the article. Write down the title of the article. Write down the name of the website. Write down the name of the website. Note the date that you opened that website. Note the particular date that you opened that website. Note the particular date that you opened that website. And then write down the URL of that website. The complete URL of that web page. Not website, web page. All those www.this/ write it down to the end. Once you've taken all these pieces of information, you'll be able to cite what you take from that website properly. All right? So let's suppose that you want to cite notes on book review. Let's suppose that you want to cite notes on book review written by somebody. So supposing you went to this website and want to cite notes on book review. All right? So you could see that notes on book review is written by, the author is here, Ayo Item. So you start item if you are using APA, item E. All right? This article was published on September 5, 2020. So you write 2020. 2020. You can see from the page here, September 5, 2020. So you write 2020. Then the title, Notes on Book Review, in quotation marks. Well, it's not a book, it's just an article. Right? Then the next thing you want to write is the name of the website. The name of the website is areaitem.com. Underline it. Alright? Then you write the date of access. Accessed today. That's the date today that I've opened this website. What is today's date? 13/11/2023. Then you provide the URL of the website. Provide the URL of the website, which is areaitem.com/2020/ I can't say. I think if it is open on a laptop, we have seen the complete URL. Let me paste it somewhere and see whether I have the complete URL. Okay, I've seen the complete URL. It is complete URL is https://2020/09/05/notes on book review. So that's how you cite an internet source. Please pay attention. When you are citing an article, now, it is necessary to check whether the article has DOI, which is Digital Object Identifier. If the article has DOI, then you have to include that DOI in your citing of the article. And I said that DOI means Digital Object Identifier. It's a set of letters and numbers that identifies a particular document on a website. So I'll give you an example of an article with a DOI. How to start an article with a DOI? I'm going to use my article. And that's the last thing we are going to do. Just a moment. So you can say that for this paper, this is the surname of the author, this is the initial, this is the year of publication, this is the title of the article,
History versus history. In Mother's memory in Akachi Zoibos, the last of the strong ones, and Chimamanda Adichie's Half of a Yellow Sun. This is the name of the journal. That's why we underline it. Cogent Arts and Humanities. The volume is volume 7, number 1. The unique number of this article is 128999. It doesn't have page range, right? This is the DOI of this article, Digital Object Identifier of the article. All these numbers generated here to here, and you can see it even includes the year of publication of the article. So always check whether the journal has a digital object of the identifiers and place it last in your citation of the article. Sorry? DOI, Cogent. I didn't get you. Is the journal, the name of the journal. All right, so that's where we stop for today and for the semester. See you guys, and thank you very much.